Welcome to OWAD today. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue unpacking Chinese from its shape to its meaning. Yesterday we talked about one, just one horizontal line. It's Chinese one. That's the beginning of the world. And now we have one vertical line intersect with the one. And if you notice, it's not exactly in the very center. It's slightly to the probably 50% from the bottom of it. So it's not the immediate or the accurate 50-50 center intersecting. And somehow it looks like Christianity's cross. But Chinese doesn't have the sense of Christianity until later when missionaries traveled over, when technology allowed long-distance traveling. That's probably in Ming Dynasty, which is about 500 years ago. So this character was created long before Christianity was even in China. So here has nothing to do with that, but why this character means 10, pronounced as 10. Why by intersecting one vertical line with the one horizontal line, it makes it into 10? Well, it came from the ancient roping technology that this vertical line is a rope and someone tied a knot on the rope. That notify, I guess, is a habitual way to notify that there is a 10 in there. And my theory is we have 10 fingers. And before it comes to 10, we can still kind of note it down by counting with our fingers. But once it gets more than that, we need to note down how many tens we have counted all that much, right? Without losing track of our count. So every 10 number, tie a knot. And then you can come to whatever odd number that's not 10. And that's the whole counting, record keeping thing. So this knot tiding then became the symbol for number 10. And when we tie a knot, it's hard to be visible, especially after we abstract it into this word. So somebody created this indicator, this horizontal line intersecting with this rope to notify, okay, this is actually a knot. Instead of like draw a tiny knot on this rope, which is kind of physically realistic, but in terms of abstraction, in terms of writing system that's recognizable or easy to render, that little dot thing doesn't work. So this horizontal line replace that. That's number 10. And just like we have capitalized the number 1, make it complicated, so non-fungible. Here we have a 10, this 10 version, the capitalized or complicated version that people would write on a banknote, on your check, so that nobody can change manually this 10 into something else, right? So this is the same pronunciation as 10, but it has a total different meaning, has nothing to do with it. It's simply a more complicated writing of the same pronunciation. Has no meaning connection here. Okay, 10, we have 5-finger hand symbol here. And then we have this triangle thing that means gathering. And then we have the mouse symbol that came from this pot, cooking pot. We use the cookware to represent the diner. And we use the diner, the eating function, to represent the whole person. Imagine, Chinese don't have a head count. We have mouth count. Okay, different culture, different abstraction of humans. So we use the mouse to represent whole person. And this whole person, and then there is this triangle thing that means gathering, a whole pile of person, if we want to view it that way. That means gathering. And probably originally it means gathering of people. Now, when we have 5-finger hand symbol, that means this is an action taken by the hand. So what the hand is doing, the hand is picking up the dropped grains after harvesting, picking up to gather, I guess, to save. So it's not a massive gathering. It's picking the individual leftover pieces. So that's original picking up. And simply because 十 is the same pronunciation, but looks a lot more complicated than this cross-looking thing. And we use that as the banknote version of 10. And you can see the ancient version is the same as the simplified and traditional, because there's no further way to further simplify the concept of 10. Now, expressions. We're talking about E, so this is a nice connecting point from the lesson 1. 一五一十, last time we talked about how this E pronunciation would adapt to whatever next to it to make it less robotic sounding. And here, because 五 is it's the most complicated tone in Chinese, in my view. So we have flat tone, easy, right? And then rising tone, falling tone, just one direction. But the third tone, there's you have a fall, and then you kind of rise up a little bit. That's the most challenging one, I feel, for foreigners. So this wu is already complicated tone there. So there's no need to further complicate things. Therefore, this E retained its original sound, and also the meaning of it. 一五一十 means matter of factly. You were not adding your personal bias, supposedly. You just tell things as you see. This 15110 is a Chinese way to say you are saying things as is. And therefore, you tell things truthfully. And as part of the truthfully, the pronunciation of 一五一十, everything retain its dictionary pronunciation. There's no change or adaptation. There's no tonal mismatch from its original or dictionary correct standard. So 一五一十 is how it goes. And we can see we have 1 and 10 in both three. Now, other ones, 十全十美. 十 retains the pronunciation, doesn't have the E problem, because 十 is a rising tone. It's already got its tonal change. And then 十全十美. Apparently, 3 rising tones together is not a problem. It doesn't sound robotic. And that means 10 complete, 10 beautiful. 十全十美 is a Chinese way to say everything is perfect to your satisfaction. It's a 10-10 situation. Everything goes as you wish. And it's a 10. 10-10 life, let's say. Okay. 十有八九. 10 有 means half. 八, 8, 九, 9. So out of 10, the chances you have 8 or 9 probability of something is going to happen. So 十有八九 is a Chinese way to say most likely, because it's above 80% of chance. So this is our 10. 十. Thank you for your time. See you another day.